What if everything you believed about yourself was too small? What if the limits you accepted were never real to begin with? What if the life you are living right now is only a fraction of what you were truly capable of becoming? Most people go through life asleep to their own power. They move through routines, trapped by fear, comfort, and the opinions of others. They shrink themselves to fit expectations. They settle for survival when they were created for something far greater. And the dangerous part is that it happens quietly. Not in one dramatic moment, but in small decisions made every day. Choosing comfort over growth. Choosing excuses over discipline. Choosing doubt over belief. Over time, those choices build a life that feels safe but never fulfill it. The tragedy is not failure. The tragedy is never discovering who you could have become. Because buried beneath every fear, every setback, every painful experience, there's another version of you waiting to emerge. A stronger version, a wiser version, a relentless version. The question is whether you are ready to meet that person. Because this is not just another motivational message. This is a confrontation with the habits that hold you back, a confrontation with the mindset that keeps you playing small, a confrontation with the excuses that have quietly stolen your time, your energy, and your potential. And the truth may be uncomfortable. You cannot become extraordinary while thinking like everyone else. You cannot create a life of greatness while remaining attached to comfort. You cannot rise if you are unwilling to leave behind the version of yourself that was built in fear. Transformation begins when the illusion breaks. When you realize that the life you want will never be handed to you. It must be built through sacrifice, through discipline, through decisions that most people are too afraid to make. That process is not easy. It demands honesty. It demands resilience. It demands that you face parts of yourself you have avoided for years. But on the other side of that confrontation is freedom. The freedom to define yourself beyond your past. The freedom to rise beyond your circumstances. The freedom to create a future aligned with your highest potential. And that is why this moment matters. Because moments like this can become turning points. A single realization can change the trajectory of your life. A single decision can break years of limitation. A single commitment can awaken the power that has always been inside you. So before you continue, ask yourself one question. Are you willing to let go of the life that keeps you comfortable in order to step into the life that makes you powerful? Because what comes next is not for those seeking entertainment. It is for those ready to challenge themselves. It is for those tired of excuses. It is for those who know deep down that they were meant for more. If that is you, then stay until the end. Because this is where everything begins. Domination begins in the mind, because every victory you will ever experience in life is first won internally before it is seen externally. Long before success shows up in your bank account, your career, your relationships, or your achievements, it has to be built in your thoughts, your beliefs, and your attitude. The greatest battles in life are not fought against other people. They are fought against fear, doubt, excuses, and the limitations you place on yourself. If you cannot control your own mind, then the world will control it for you. Most people fail not because they lack talent, intelligence, or opportunity. They fail because they have accepted defeat mentally before they even begin. They tell themselves they are not ready, not good enough, not experienced enough, or not capable enough. Those thoughts become invisible chains. And over time, they stop trying, stop dreaming, and stop pushing toward their goals. What starts as a single negative thought can become a lifelong pattern of limitation. That is why domination begins in the mind. Before you can conquer anything in the world, you must first conquer the inner voice that whispers weakness into your spirit. You must silence the excuses that tell you to wait for the perfect time. You must reject the fear that convinces you failure is worse than regret. The truth is that your mindset shapes your reality. If you believe you are powerless, you will act powerless. If you believe you are capable, resilient, and destined for more, you will begin to move with confidence and purpose. Your thoughts are not harmless. They are the foundation of your actions. Every choice you make starts with an idea, and every habit you build starts with a belief. If your beliefs are rooted in doubt, your actions will be inconsistent. If your beliefs are rooted in confidence, your actions will become deliberate and strong. The mind is where discipline is born. The mind is where courage is developed. The mind is where greatness begins. Think about the people who achieve extraordinary things. They are not immune to fear, pain, or uncertainty. They simply refuse to let those emotions constrain them. They have trained their minds to focus on possibilities instead of obstacles. While others see setbacks as reasons to quit, they see them as lessons. While others complain about circumstances, they search for solutions. Their power comes from the way they think. That is the difference between those who dominate and those who drift through life. One group allows circumstances to define them, while the other chooses to define themselves regardless of circumstances. A dominating mindset does not wait for motivation. It creates momentum through discipline. It does not seek comfort. It embraces challenge as the path to growth. It does not shrink under pressure. It rises because pressure reveals strength. The mind is also where resilience is built. Life will test you. There will be moments of failure, rejection, disappointment, and pain. In those moments, your external resources may be limited, but your internal strength becomes everything. If your mind is weak, every challenge feels impossible. If your mind is trained, every challenge becomes manageable. Resilience is not about avoiding hardship. It is about developing the mental toughness to endure it. Many people want success, but few are willing to do the inner work required to sustain it. They focus only on results while ignoring the mindset necessary to create those results. They chase external validation instead of building internal stability. But true domination is not about appearances. It is about mastery of self. Self-mastery means controlling your emotions instead of letting them control you. It means staying committed when motivation fades. It means choosing long-term growth over short-term comfort. It means holding yourself accountable even when nobody is watching. These are mental victories that eventually produce physical success. One of the most dangerous habits is allowing negative thinking to become normal. When you repeatedly tell yourself that you cannot do something, your brain begins to accept it as truth. That belief influences your decisions, your effort, and your willingness to take risks. But the opposite is also true. When you intentionally feed your mind with empowering beliefs, you strengthen your confidence and expand your possibilities. This is why what you consume matters. The conversations you engage in, the people you surround yourself with, the content you absorb, all of it shapes your mindset. A mind exposed constantly to negativity becomes conditioned for limitation. A mind exposed to growth, discipline, and possibility becomes conditioned for success. Guarding your mental environment is essential because your thoughts become your future. Domination in the mind also requires clarity of purpose. When you know why you are pursuing your goals, your focus sharpens. Purpose gives direction to your thoughts and energy to your actions. Without purpose, the mind becomes scattered and easily distracted. With purpose, the mind becomes disciplined and intentional. The world is filled with distractions designed to pull you away from your mission. Social comparison, entertainment, criticism, and doubt can easily consume your attention. But domination requires mental focus. It requires the ability to say no to what does not serve your vision. A focused mind is a powerful mind because it channels energy toward meaningful action. Ultimately, domination begins in the mind because success is not created by circumstances alone. It is created by the person you become in response to those circumstances. Two people can face the same challenge and experience completely different outcomes based on how they think. One sees defeat, the other sees opportunity. One gives up, the other adapts. One accepts limitations, the other breaks through them. Your greatest weapon is not your talent, your resources, or your background. It is your mind. If you strengthen it, train it, and protect it, you can overcome obstacles that once seemed impossible. But if you neglect it, even the best opportunities may slip away. The path to domination starts with a decision to take ownership of your thoughts, to reject excuses, and to build a mindset rooted in resilience and possibility. It starts with understanding that the battle for your future is won internally before it is reflected externally. When you master your mind, you unlock your potential. When you conquer your fears, you create freedom. When you control your thoughts, you shape your destiny. And once you realize that every great achievement begins as a belief, you stop waiting for the world to change and start transforming yourself. Because the strongest force in your life is the way you think. And that is why domination always begins in the mind. Pressure creates power because adversity has a way of revealing what comfort never can. When life becomes difficult, when expectations rise, when challenges seem overwhelming, something important happens. Your true character is exposed. Pressure strips away illusion. It removes the mask, the excuses, and the easy pass. What remains is who you really are and who you are capable of becoming. Many people view pressure as something negative, something to avoid. They see it as stress, burden, or hardship. But pressure is not punishment. Pressure is preparation. It is the force that strengthens you, sharpens you, and transforms you into someone greater than you were before. Without pressure, growth remains limited. Without resistance, strength is never developed. Think about how diamonds are formed. They begin as ordinary carbon, but under intense heat and crushing pressure, they become one of the strongest and most valuable substances on earth. The same principle applies to human potential. Greatness is not created in ease, it is forged in difficulty. Pressure refines you the way fire refines metal. It burns away weakness and leaves behind resilience. The reason pressure creates power is because it forces adaptation. When everything is comfortable, there is little reason to change. Comfort allows habits to remain unchallenged. It keeps people in routines that may feel safe but do not push them toward excellence. Pressure disrupts that comfort. It demands more. It requires you to rise, think differently, and find solutions. In those moments, you discover abilities you did not know you had. You become more resourceful, more disciplined, and more focused. The challenge itself becomes the catalyst for transformation. What once seemed impossible becomes achievable because pressure forced you to expand. History is filled with examples of people whose greatest strengths emerged under pressure. Leaders rise in crisis. Athletes perform at their highest levels in critical moments. Innovators create breakthroughs when faced with obstacles. They do not succeed because pressure disappears. They succeed because they learn to use pressure as fuel. Pressure teaches endurance. It shows you that you are capable of carrying more than you imagine. It proves that your limits are often mental, not physical. The human spirit can endure extraordinary circumstances when driven by purpose and determination. Pressure stretches those limits, making you stronger each time you face it. This is why avoiding pressure can be one of the greatest mistakes a person makes. A life built around comfort may feel easier in the short term, but it often leads to stagnation. Growth requires discomfort. Progress requires challenge. If you always choose the easy path, you miss the opportunity to develop the strength that only hardship can create. Pressure also creates clarity. In difficult moments, priorities become obvious. Distractions lose their appeal, and what truly matters comes into focus. Challenges force you to evaluate your values, your goals, and your commitment. Under pressure, you learn what you stand for and what you are willing to fight for. This clarity becomes power because it directs your energy toward meaningful action. Instead of being scattered or uncertain, you move with intention. You understand your mission more deeply because hardship has tested it. Another reason pressure creates power is that it builds confidence through evidence. Confidence is not created by positive thinking alone. It is built through experience. Every time you survive a difficult season, every time you solve a problem under stress, you build up your resilience and become stronger. Every time you persevere despite obstacles, you gather proof of your own resilience. That proof becomes unshakable confidence, not arrogance, but grounded belief in your ability to handle whatever comes next. You begin to trust yourself because you have seen your own strength in action. Pressure becomes less intimidating because you recognize it as a familiar process of growth. There is also a deeper truth. Pressure reveals potential. Many people underestimate themselves because they have never been pushed far enough to discover what lies beneath the surface. Extraordinary ability often remains hidden until circumstances demand it. The challenge draws it out. A person may never realize their leadership skills until placed in a crisis. They may never understand their resilience until faced with loss. They may never discover their creativity until resources become limited. Pressure uncovers what comfort conceals. This does not mean pressure is easy. It can be exhausting, painful, and uncertain. It often comes with fear and self-doubt. But the presence of discomfort does not mean something is wrong. It often means something significant is happening. Growth rarely feels comfortable because it requires change. The key is not to resist pressure, but to embrace its purpose. Instead of asking why this challenge is happening to you, ask what it is preparing you for. Instead of seeing obstacles as barriers, view them as training. This mindset transforms hardship from something to fear into something to value. Pressure becomes a teacher. It teaches patience when results are delayed. It teaches discipline when motivation fades. It teaches humility when mistakes are made. It teaches persistence when quitting seems easier. These lessons are forms of power because they shape your character. Skills can open doors, but character determines whether you can sustain success. Pressure strengthens the internal qualities needed for lasting achievement. It is important to understand that power created through pressure is not only personal. It also enables you to impact others. Those who have endured challenges often become sources of wisdom and strength for those around them. Their experiences allow them to lead, mentor, and inspire. The hardships they face become part of their authority. People trust those who have been tested because their strength is proven. Their voice carries weight because it is backed by experience. In this way, pressure not only builds your own capacity, but expands your ability to contribute to others. Your struggles can become a foundation for service and leadership. Ultimately, pressure creates power because it transforms you from the inside out. It reshapes your mindset, strengthens your character, and reveals your potential. It forces growth, builds resilience, and develops confidence. The moments you once feared often become the very experiences that define your strength. The obstacles that seemed unbearable become the stories of your transformation. When you understand this, pressure no longer feels like an enemy. It becomes part of the process. You stop asking for an easier life and start becoming stronger. Because true power is not the absence of challenge. It is the ability to rise through challenge with greater wisdom, greater resilience, and greater purpose. And that kind of power can only be created under pressure. Consistency beats talent because talent alone is never enough to guarantee success. Talent may give someone an early advantage, but consistency is what determines who endures, who improves, and who ultimately reaches greatness. Natural ability can open doors, but disciplined repetition is what keeps those doors open. In the long run, steady effort outperforms occasional brilliance. Many people admire talent because it appears effortless. They look at gifted individuals and assume success comes easily to them. What is often overlooked is that raw ability without discipline can become wasted potential. A talented person who relies only on natural skill may shine for a moment, but if they neglect the work required to grow, they will eventually be surpassed by someone less gifted but more committed. Consistency is powerful because it compounds over time. Small actions repeated daily create results that seem extraordinary when viewed months or years later. A single workout may not transform the body, but hundreds of workouts reshape it completely. Writing one page may seem insignificant, but doing it every day can produce books, ideas, and influence. The effect of consistency is often invisible in the short term, but undeniable in the long term. This is why consistency beats talent. Talent may produce flashes of excellence, but consistency creates sustained progress. It builds habits, sharpens skills, and strengthens character. The person who shows up every day, regardless of mood or circumstances, develops a level of mastery that talent alone cannot achieve. There is also an important psychological advantage to consistency. It removes dependence on motivation. Motivation is temporary and unreliable. Some days it is strong, and other days it disappears. If progress depends solely on feeling inspired, results will always be inconsistent. Discipline, however, creates structure. It ensures action even when enthusiasm fades. Consistency turns effort into routine. What once required willpower becomes automatic through repetition. This reduces resistance and increases efficiency. Over time, disciplined action becomes part of identity. The person no longer says, "I am trying to improve." They become someone who naturally does the work. Talent can create confidence, but consistency creates trust. When you consistently practice, learn, and improve, you begin to trust your ability because it is supported by evidence. You know what you are capable of because you have built that capacity over time. This confidence is stable because it is rooted in preparation, not assumption. Another reason consistency beats talent is that it allows room for growth. Talent may set an initial baseline, but consistency raises that baseline continuously. Skills that once seemed difficult become easier through repetition. Knowledge expands through daily learning. Performance improves because weaknesses are addressed over time. This process creates adaptability. A consistent person is always evolving, while a talented person who stops working risks becoming stagnant. The world changes, industries shift, and new challenges emerge. Those who maintain disciplined growth are prepared to adjust, while those who rely solely on existing ability may struggle to keep pace. Consistency also develops resilience. Showing up repeatedly through setbacks, boredom, and frustration builds mental toughness. It teaches patience and perseverance. Success rarely happens in a straight line, and progress often includes failures. A consistent person understands this and continues anyway. This resilience becomes a competitive advantage. Many people quit when results are delayed or obstacles appear. The one who remains committed gains ground simply by refusing to stop. Over time, persistence creates separation. In sports, business, education, and personal development, the same pattern appears. The most successful individuals are rarely those with the greatest natural gifts alone. They are the ones who commit to deliberate practice, continuous learning, and steady improvement. Their achievements are built on repetition, not chance. Consider two individuals starting the same journey. One has exceptional talent but inconsistent effort. The other has average ability but unwavering discipline. At first, the talented individual may appear ahead. Their results come faster and their potential seems obvious. But as time passes, the disciplined individual continues to improve while the talented one plateaus. Eventually, consistency closes the gap and then surpasses talent. The disciplined person accumulates skills, habits, and experience that the naturally gifted person failed to develop. The race is not won by who starts strongest, but by who sustains the effort. Consistency also shapes reputation. People trust those who deliver reliably. In any field, dependability is valued because it creates stability. A person who performs well occasionally may be admired, but a person who produces quality consistently becomes respected. This reputation leads to opportunities. Employers, teams, clients, and communities seek those who can be counted on. Reliability often matters as much as brilliance because success depends on sustained contribution. There is a deeper lesson as well. Consistency reflects values. It demonstrates commitment, responsibility, and self-respect. It shows that a person is willing to honor their goals through action, not just intention. This mindset extends beyond achievement. It influences relationships, health, finances, and personal growth. Small, consistent choices in these areas create lasting outcomes. The principle remains the same. Repeated effort shapes reality. One challenge with consistency is that it can feel ordinary. Daily repetition lacks the excitement of dramatic breakthroughs. Progress may seem slow, and the work can become monotonous. This is where many people lose focus. But greatness is often hidden in ordinary routines. The willingness to embrace repetition is what separates long-term achievers from those seeking instant results. Mastery is not built through occasional intensity, it is built through sustained dedication. The most important truth is that consistency is available to everyone. Talent is unevenly distributed, but disciplined effort is a choice. Anyone can decide to show up, improve, and remain committed. This makes consistency empowering. It shifts success from something dependent on innate gifts to something shaped by intentional behavior. It places control back in the hands of the individual. When people understand this, they stop comparing themselves to others' natural abilities and focus instead on their own habits. They realize that progress is less about being exceptional from the start and more about being committed over time. Ultimately, consistency beats talent because it creates growth, resilience, trust, and mastery. It transforms potential into achievement and ordinary effort into extraordinary results. Talent may provide an advantage, but without consistency, it fades. Discipline ensures progress even when circumstances are difficult. Repetition strengthens ability until excellence becomes natural. In the end, success belongs not to those who are gifted, but to those who remain committed long enough for their efforts to compound. And that is why consistency will always outlast talent. Pain is the price of greatness because growth demands something from you that comfort never will. Every meaningful achievement requires sacrifice, struggle, and endurance. Greatness is not handed out freely. It is earned through the willingness to face discomfort and continue moving forward. The journey toward excellence is never smooth, and the challenges along the way are not signs that you are on the wrong path. They are evidence that you are paying the cost required for transformation. Many people desire greatness, but far fewer are willing to endure the pain attached to it. They admire success from a distance, but when hardship appears, they question whether the pursuit is worth it. What they often fail to understand is that pain is not separate from the process, it is part of the process. It is the force that strengthens, teaches, and reshapes you. Pain reveals what comfort conceals. In easy seasons, weaknesses can remain hidden. There is little pressure to adapt, improve, or confront limitations. But when pain enters the picture, whether through failure, rejection, loss, or relentless effort, it exposes the areas that need growth. It forces you to confront reality. This confrontation can be uncomfortable, but it is necessary. Without it, progress remains superficial. Pain strips away illusion and demands honesty. It asks whether you are truly committed, whether your goals matter enough to endure hardship, and whether you are willing to become someone stronger. The reason pain is the price of greatness is because every level of growth requires letting go of something familiar. To improve, you must release old habits, outdated beliefs, and comfortable routines. That process often feels like loss. Change challenges identity, and identity shifts can be painful. Yet this discomfort is the birthplace of transformation. The athlete pushes through physical exhaustion to build strength. The entrepreneur endures uncertainty and setbacks to create opportunity. The student sacrifices leisure for learning. In each case, pain is not punishment but investment. There is also a psychological dimension to pain. It teaches resilience. When you endure difficulty and emerge stronger, you develop confidence in your ability to handle future challenges. This confidence is not based on theory, but on lived experience. Every hardship survived becomes proof of your capacity. Over time, pain strengthens not only your abilities, but your mindset. You begin to see challenges as temporary and manageable rather than overwhelming. This shift creates mental toughness, one of the most valuable qualities in the pursuit of greatness. Pain also sharpens focus. During difficult seasons, distractions lose significance. What truly matters becomes clearer. Hardship forces priorities into perspective and deepens commitment. It reminds you why your goals matter. This clarity becomes fuel. Instead of drifting aimlessly, you move with purpose. Pain has a way of aligning your energy with what is essential. Another reason pain is the price of greatness is that it builds discipline. Success requires repeated action, often in the absence of immediate reward. This means doing difficult things consistently, even when motivation fades. Discipline is forged in moments when quitting would be easier. Each decision to continue strengthens character. Over time, these choices create habits that support excellence. Without pain, discipline remains underdeveloped. Ease does not test commitment. Only challenge reveals the depth of dedication. Pain also cultivates humility. Failure reminds you that progress is never guaranteed. It teaches respect for the process and appreciation for the effort required. Humility keeps growth possible. Those who assume they have arrived stop learning. Those shaped by pain understand there is always more to improve. This mindset sustains long-term success. Greatness is not a destination, but a continuous pursuit. It is important to recognize that not all pain is productive. Some suffering is unnecessary or rooted in harmful choices. The pain associated with greatness is purposeful. It is connected to growth, sacrifice, and meaningful effort. This distinction matters because it reframes discomfort. Instead of resisting all pain, you learn to ask whether it is serving your development. Constructive pain expands capacity. It pushes boundaries and strengthens resolve. It is temporary but transformative. Avoiding this kind of pain often leads to a different kind of suffering, the pain of regret. Regret comes from unrealized potential, abandoned goals, and missed opportunities. While growth-related pain is difficult, regret can be far heavier because it carries the weight of what could have been. Choosing purposeful struggle now can prevent deeper dissatisfaction later. Pain also creates empathy and wisdom. Those who have endured challenges often understand others more deeply. Their experiences expand perspective and strengthen compassion. This becomes part of greatness as well. Achievement without humanity is incomplete. True greatness includes the ability to uplift, guide, and inspire others. Pain often equips people for this role by giving them insight that comfort alone cannot provide. There is a paradox at the center of this truth. The very thing people seek to avoid is often what leads them to their highest potential. The sleepless nights, the failures, the sacrifices, the moments of doubt, these experiences become the foundation of strength. What once felt unbearable becomes part of your story, shaping who you are and what you can contribute. When you understand this, pain changes meaning. It is no longer seen solely as something negative. It becomes a teacher, a trainer, and a necessary cost. This perspective does not remove difficulty, but it gives difficulty purpose. Instead of asking why life is hard, you begin to ask what it is building within you. That shift transforms suffering into growth. Greatness requires endurance because the process is often longer and harder than expected. Results may take time. Recognition may be delayed. Pain teaches patience in these seasons. It reminds you that meaningful achievement is not instant. The struggle itself prepares you to sustain what you are pursuing. If success arrived without development, many would not be ready to handle it. The journey ensures readiness by shaping character alongside capability. Ultimately, pain is the price of greatness because it develops the qualities that greatness depends on: resilience, discipline, humility, empathy, focus, and strength. These qualities cannot be fully taught in comfort. They are forged through challenge. Every sacrifice made, every obstacle overcome, every difficult step taken contributes to the person you are becoming. The cost is real, but so is the reward. The pain of growth leads to expanded capacity, deeper purpose, and lasting achievement. It transforms you from someone who merely desires success into someone equipped to carry it. Greatness is not reserved for those who avoid hardship. It belongs to those who are willing to endure what the process demands. And in that willingness, pain becomes not an enemy, but the very path to becoming extraordinary. You were built for more because human potential is rarely defined by current circumstances. What you see in the present is not the full measure of what you are capable of becoming. Too often, people confuse where they are with who they are. They allow temporary limitations, setbacks, or external labels to define their identity. But your present reality is not your final reality. There is more within you than you have yet expressed. The idea that you were built for more is rooted in the understanding that growth is part of being human. You are not designed to remain static. Your mind can expand, your skills can improve, your character can deepen, and your influence can grow. The capacity for transformation is built into you, yet many people live far below their potential because they accept a smaller version of themselves. They settle into routines that feel safe, even if those routines no longer challenge or fulfill them. They begin to believe that comfort is enough, but comfort can become a cage when it replaces purpose. A life built only around security may protect you from risk, but it can also distance you from possibility. Being built for more means recognizing that your life has room for expansion. It means understanding that your gifts, experiences, and ambitions are not random. They can be directed towards something meaningful. This does not always mean fame, wealth, or public recognition. More is not defined by status alone. It can mean deeper impact, greater responsibility, stronger relationships, or a more aligned life. The essence of more is becoming the fullest expression of who you can be. To embrace this truth, you must first reject limiting beliefs. Many internal barriers come from stories repeated over time, beliefs about what you deserve, what you can achieve, or what is realistic for someone like you. These narratives often originate from past failures, criticism, or environments that discourage growth. But beliefs are not fixed. They can be examined, challenged, and rewritten. When you begin to see yourself through the lens of possibility rather than limitation, your actions change. You take risks that once felt impossible. You pursue goals that once seemed distant. You begin to operate from a larger vision of yourself. This shift is essential because potential is activated through belief and action, not wishful thinking. You are built for more, but more requires responsibility. It requires ownership of your choices, your habits, and your direction. Potential without action remains dormant. The realization that you are capable of greater things is only the beginning. The next step is aligning daily behavior with that understanding. Growth happens when intention becomes practice. This often involves stepping into discomfort. More demands expansion, and expansion requires leaving familiar territory. New challenges, higher expectations, and unfamiliar environments can feel unsettling, but discomfort is often evidence that you are stretching beyond old limits. The fear associated with growth is natural, but it should not become a stopping point. Being built for more means learning to move forward despite uncertainty. It means trusting that capability develops along the journey, not before it begins. Another aspect of more is resilience. Pursuing a larger purpose will inevitably involve setbacks. Progress is rarely linear. There will be moments of doubt, failure, and fatigue. These experiences do not invalidate your potential, they refine it. Setbacks often teach lessons that success alone cannot provide. They strengthen perseverance and deepen wisdom. The path toward more is not free of hardship, but hardship can become part of preparation. What matters is not avoiding obstacles, but continuing through them. You were built for more also means you have the capacity to contribute beyond yourself. Human potential is not only about personal advancement, it is also about service. As you grow, your ability to positively affect others expands. Your knowledge can guide, your example can inspire, and your work can create opportunities for those around you. This outward dimension gives purpose greater depth. More is not only about what you achieve, but what you enable in others. A life centered solely on personal gain often feels incomplete. A life connected to contribution carries lasting significance. This understanding transforms ambition from self-centered striving into meaningful impact. It also prevents success from becoming hollow. Achievement has greater value when it is connected to something beyond individual recognition. Being built for more includes the courage to evolve. Sometimes growth requires releasing identities that no longer fit. You may outgrow environments, relationships, or patterns that once felt essential. This process can be difficult because familiarity creates attachment. But holding on to what no longer serves your development limits future possibilities. Evolution requires discernment, the willingness to choose alignment over comfort. It means allowing your life to change as you change. This adaptability is a sign of strength, not instability. It reflects commitment to becoming rather than remaining. The phrase built for more also points to endurance. Long-term growth requires sustained effort. It is not enough to feel inspired in moments. Progress depends on consistency over time. Small disciplined actions accumulate into significant transformation. The gap between who you are now and who you can become is bridged through repeated commitment. This process may seem gradual, but it is powerful. Each decision to learn, improve, and persist reinforces the truth that you are capable of greater things. Over time, these choices reshape identity. You begin to embody the more you once imagined. There is also a spiritual or existential dimension to this idea. Many people experience an internal sense that they are meant for something beyond their current reality. This feeling often emerges as dissatisfaction with merely existing. It is not necessarily a rejection of life as it is, but a recognition that there is unrealized depth. This inner call should not be ignored. It can serve as a compass toward purpose. While it may not provide all answers immediately, it signals that growth remains possible. Listening to that call requires honesty and courage. It asks you to examine where you may be settling and where you are being invited to expand. Ultimately, being built for more is not about constant striving for external milestones. It is about honoring the potential within you. It is about refusing to reduce your identity to past mistakes, present limitations, or others' expectations. It is about recognizing that development is ongoing and that your life can hold increasing depth, meaning, and impact. This truth should create both humility and determination. Humility, because potential is a gift that must be cultivated. Determination, because realizing that potential requires effort. You were not designed to remain confined by fear, routine, or small thinking. You have the capacity to learn, adapt, lead, and contribute in ways that may exceed your current understanding. The journey toward more begins with acknowledging that who you are today is not the end of your story. There is room to grow, to serve, and to become. And that possibility remains available as long as you are willing to pursue it. If you've made it this far, then something inside you is already awake. Something in your spirit recognizes that this message is not just words, that is a reminder of who you truly are. Because deep down, you know you were never meant to live a life of excuses, hesitation, or mediocrity. You were meant to rise. You were meant to stretch beyond your limits. You were meant to become more than the world expected of you. Everything you have heard is not theory. It is a challenge to look at your life honestly and ask yourself one question. Will you settle for what is easy, or will you fight for what is possible? Because greatness is never accidental. It is chosen. It is built through the decisions you make every day, especially when nobody is watching. The truth is, your future is being shaped right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when the circumstances improve. It is being shaped in this moment by the mindset you carry, the discipline you practice, and the courage you show when life tests you. Every action matters. Every habit matters. Every excuse you eliminate moves you closer to the person you are capable of becoming. And understand this clearly, there will always be reasons to quit. There will always be obstacles, critics, and moments of doubt. But the people who transform their lives are not the ones who wait for perfect conditions. They are the ones who move despite imperfection. They understand that fear is not a stop sign. It is proof that something important is ahead. You have already survived challenges that once felt impossible. You have endured seasons that tested your strength. That means you carry within you more resilience than you realize. The question is not whether you are capable. The question is whether you are willing to use that capability to its fullest, because your story is still being written. The next chapter has not been decided. You get to choose whether it becomes a story of regret or a story of courage, a story of settling or a story of rising. Do not underestimate the power of one decision to commit, one decision to discipline your mind, one decision to keep going when others stop. That decision can alter the direction of your life. Years from now, you will look back on moments like this and realize they were turning points. Times when you could have stayed the same but chose growth instead. So leave this with urgency in your heart and purpose in your steps. Carry these lessons into your daily life. Apply them when motivation fades. Remember them when pressure rises. Use them when pain challenges you. Because greatness is not reserved for a chosen few. It belongs to those who refuse to give up on what they can become. And that includes you. So rise with intention, move with discipline, lead with courage, and never forget your potential is greater than your fear. Your future is bigger than your past, and your life is capable of far more than you have imagined. The journey begins now.